Hey trackies, welcome back to another video. Please remember to smash that subscribe button, hit the like button as well. That's how the video gets to the YouTube algorithm. Share the video if you care. I hope you all care. So share, and yes, please sound off in the comment section below. So Eugene Diamond League. Oh my gosh, the fields, I have to say they are immaculate. And I definitely think that what Eugene has done here is a precursor to the World Championships. A lot of these fields, just in preparing for this video, just looking over the athletes that would be competing, are literally the athletes that I'm expecting to line up in the finals for each event at the World Championship. So, give or take an athlete or two, right? But with that said, I don't think it's going to get any better than this in terms of a lineup or lineups for a Diamond League. So this is a big one. This is massive. And if we have any kind of designs, especially from a Jamaican perspective, with winning, then these particular races matter because we can look at how the athletes compete, pick it apart, and say, hey, maybe you need to start working on something else in the race to ensure that you can figure by the time we get to World Championships. And it's interesting that, I started out by saying that because I want to start with the women's 100-meter hurdles because this lineup is crazy. Y'all know the women's 100 meters stay giving, right? Or I mean, 100-meter hurdles, that is, it stays giving, and no difference here. Really, really strong lineup. The only difference I would say, in terms of athletes that I would be looking out for that's not in this lineup, ones that haven't indicated that they're injured, that is a Grace Stark. I'm not seeing her here. Not sure why she, is not in this field. I would have loved to seen her here because really and truly, I'm looking at a particular set of girls that I believe will be in the conversation for the medals, from the World Championships. I'm looking at Toby Amosan. She's a world record holder. She's back and she looks awesome. I'm looking at the Olympic champion, Masai Russell. I'm looking at Ackera Nugent from Jamaica. And I'm also looking at Grace Stark. I think those girls, I'm hoping that three of those athletes will be able to figure when it comes to the medals, given, how they've been competing strongly all season. Though it's the hurdles and we have seen numerous times that things don't really go that way. So let's see. But anyway, let's jump into this particular lineup. We have Kendra Harrison, we have Tia Jones, we have Toby Amosan, we have Masai Russell, we have Ackera Nugent, we have Daniel Williams, we have Alia Armstrong, we have Tonya Marshall, and we have Aaliyah McCormick. So outside of the two Jamaicans and the one Nigerian, everybody else represents the United States of America. All right, so this is going to be a really, really tough race for the Jamaicans because I am expecting Masai, to turn up in this race. And based on what I saw in Kingston over the weekend, I don't think Ackera is quite there just yet, technically at least, over the hurdles. I've been watching Grace Stark and she looks immaculately clean. I couldn't find one fault, in her race in the last outing with herself against Ackera Nugent. And again, watching Ackera Nugent, in Kingston, I can definitely see a lot of areas that require tightening up. And, Masai, incidentally, just like Grace Stark, has the same thing going for her from a technical perspective. Very, very clean, very, very efficient, no wasted movement. And that's really what you want to see over the hurdles, and that is part of the reason why I'm thinking that this year that world record set by Toby Amosan back in 2022, incidentally also at the World Championships, 12.12 seconds, is under threat. And I definitely think she's also part of the conversation when we talk about potentially challenging the world record. But I think Masai Russell is one of those athletes that will be there. Grace Stark is one of those athletes that will be there, and I'm hoping that Ackera Nugent, given her flat speed, will be there. But I need her to tighten up. Now Daniel Williams, is also in this race as well. And as I said, it's going to be tough. Watched her, in the first run at the senior championships, though she had, a couple runs of the 100 meters in Kingston. So I don't think that was her best effort, but I definitely think that this is going to be a strong, field for her. So who do I think wins this race? As long as Masai wasn't injured, because I think I was hearing something along the lines of injury. I'm not 100% sure. So if it's a case where she comes in where she left off, I think she's favored in this race. If not, then we will see as the race progresses. Toby Amosan, I think, is there as well as a heavy favorite as well. Toby could walk away with this for sure. Given what I saw against Grace Stark, Toby could walk away with the win in this race. However, let us see, how Masai actually turns up. And then I'm looking at Ackera Nugent for third in this particular race. When it comes to the other participants, probably Tia Jones, will be there in the race. I'm looking at also Tonya Marshall, she always gives me a good race. Kendra Harrison has been, in good shape. Not, American record, when it comes to Kenny Harrison, but still good enough, fast enough so far this season. So I'm looking out to see what she'll be able to do here. And of course, Danielle Williams as well. I'm looking out for her, but I definitely think taking at least the top four would be or will be, you can switch the positions, whether it be Toby or Masai. I think those athletes go 1-2. As long as I said Masai is great, are still in great, shape. And then we have Ackera third with Tia Jones fourth. I'm hoping that, Daniel Williams will be, someplace around 50s, 60s in this race. But yeah, it's going to be really, really close, really, really good as well. So let's see how this race actually goes. Kenny Harrison will also be in the conversation. Really, really strong women's 100-meter hurdles lineup. Let's jump over into the women's long jump. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, but I don't believe I've ever seen the women's long jump this competitive. We're talking a bunch of athletes right above or over the 7-meter barrier, or just below it. I don't think I've ever seen it this competitive. Now, don't get me wrong, the Olympic champion Tara Davis Woodhall seemingly has unlocked I can win regardless of whatever anybody else does in the field. I think she's on one of those. So I believe whatever anybody else does, it's Tara's long jump event to lose. That being said, the Jamaican Akila Smith is here, and I'm hoping that given that at the national championships last weekend she jumped a 6.74, which is telling me that she's climbing back up into those ranks, right? And she needs some going to go, because if you're not jumping 6.9s, over 7 meters, unfortunately, when it comes to this women's long jump, then you probably can't dream of winning, right? So I'm hoping that with more competition she'll be able to rise in the ranks. But that 6.74 I think will place her well in this field. Let's see how she competes. And I think, as I said, a precursor to the world championships, these are the athletes that you want to compete against. Mihambo from Germany, as I said, Tara Davis Woodhall, Ivana Spanovic, Jasmine Moore. These are literally athletes that you want to make sure you're competing against and competing strongly, so you can know where you really rank when we talk about potentially heading to the world championships, right? Now, jumping over from the women's long jump, let's jump into the men's 400-meter hurdles. This is going to be a really, really strong field as well, because we have the likes of CJ Allen from the USA, as well as Rai Benjamin and Trevor Bassett. From Jamaica, we have Asini Wilson and also Malik James King. From Italy, we have Sibilio Alexandrio. Then we have Samba has returned. Samba from Qatar has made a massive return. Alison dos Santos from Brazil is here, and of course from Nigeria, Nathaniel Ezekiel, right? So just, I guess he's not going to be pro since he was collegiate, right, at the NCAA Division 1 Outdoor Track and Field Championships, won that event, right? So coming in this one really, really hot. And yeah, this is going to be a tough lineup for the Jamaican athletes. Let's see how they can navigate it. Definitely think that this is a Ray Benjamin race. Definitely think that Dos Santos will be second. Based on what I saw from Samba, as I said, he has returned. So I'm thinking Samba from, Qatar will be in the conversation for third. Keeping my eye on Nathaniel Ezekiel. If he's still in great shape from the NCAA Division 1 Outdoor Track and Field Championships, then he should be in fourth. I'm hoping that after those four, I can start to see the Jamaicans figure. I can start to see Asini Wilson in the conversation, and even Malik James King. Malik didn't give me the strongest run in Kingston, but that's okay. As I said, the athletes have time to refine their craft. Let's see if they give me a better performance, at the Eugene Diamond League. But as I said, it's going to be tough because CJ Allen is also there. He's a pretty consistent athlete, I would say, in terms of his performances. So he pretty much gives you a strong race every single time you see him, right? So let's see what happens. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed for our Jamaican athletes. Now, jumping over from the 400-meter hurdles, I want to touch on the women's 400 meters. This one is interesting. Based on the lineup, I can say we had the 2024 collegiate dominant athletes from the 400-meter perspective, and the 2025 dominant athletes, as well as trackies, the world record holder in the 400-meter hurdles, Sydney McLaughlin Leveroni. So the lineup, we have from USA, Lear Bearley. We have Rosie Effiong, or Bearley Lear, sorry. We have Rosie Effiong. We have Sydney McLaughlin Leveroni, Isabella Whittaker. We have Aliyah Butler. We have Alexis Holmes. And from Ireland, we have Rashida Adeleke. We have from Jamaica, Dejane Oakley. And we have from Great Britain, Amber Anning. So this is a really, really good lineup. Based on personal best, at least, very, very strong lineup. Now, for 2025, some of these athletes have not gotten into the range of their personal best. As I said, that's fine. Some going to go before the USA Championships, or at least just like I said for racers, when I said racers is a precursor to the Jamaican Track and Field Championships, Eugene is a precursor to the USA Track and Field Championships. So, what we see here is hopefully a look into what we should be expecting once we head off to the American Championships, right? So, these athletes should be showing signs right now as it relates to the shape that they should be in if they want to contend for a spot on the team. That being said, I think Cindy McLaughlin-Leveroni takes this race hands down. I don't believe there's be somebody there that will beat her. And the reason why I'm saying this is because she has this way of running where she still manages to do enough to be the winner, right? Especially in the women's 400 meters. So let's see how it goes. I'm hoping that we will see, these freshly minted, collegiate athletes that performed well at the NCAA Division One Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Aaliyah Butler, Dejani Oakley challenge, but I am expecting the likes of Isabella Whitaker. She, left the collegiate ranks early this year as well, so I'm expecting her to be there. Rashida Adeleke, I'm expecting to be there. Alexis Holmes is very, very consistent as well. I'm looking out for her. Amber Anning as well, giving me strong performances so far. She's a sub 50. So in this race, the sub 50 athletes are Amber Anning, Aaliyah Butler, Sydney Leveroni, and Isabella Whitaker. Though Isabella Whitaker hasn't gotten close to that performance that she's done so far, that 49.24. But those are the sub, 50 athletes, right? I'm thinking, as I said, this is Sydney's race, to win. I think Amber Anning will be there as well as Rashida. Adeleke, I'm thinking that as well. Alexis Holmes always manages to be in top three some way, shape, or form. So I'm looking out for her. And as I said, I'm keeping my eye on Dejani Oakley. I'm hoping that she can be fourth-ish, fifth-ish in this race. Though, that would mean she may beat out an Aaliyah Butler, which is probably highly unlikely. But let us see. Let us see what will happen. She didn't look her strongest in Kingston, but that's okay. Again, she's getting the races in, remaining competitive. These are the athletes, especially to keep an eye on when she heads off to the World Championships, minus a Sydney McLaughlin Leveroni. I think she's in a good space right now to gauge herself against the best in the world, and I'm hoping for a great outcome for her in this women's 400 meters. As I said, though, it will be a tough race, definitely tough. Now, moving on to the final event that I want to cover, that is the men's 200 meters, and this one gonna be spicy. Unfortunately, we lost Kenny Benerick. He said he felt some tightness, and as such, he withdrew from the men's 200 meters. So in the lineup, we have Aaron Brown from Canada. We have from the USA, Kyrie King, Robert Gregory, Joseph Fambele is from Liberia, and we have Courtney Lindsay. So those are the Americans. Then from Dominica, we have Alexander Ogando. We have Letsilito Boho from Botswana. We have Jareem Richardson from Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, we have Bryan Levell from Jamaica. So that's the lineup for the men's 200 meters. Right off the bat, I'm very, very curious to see what Letsilito Boho will come with. I know he did suffer from an injury setback. His last performance, 20.10 seconds. Let's see if he's able to give a sub 20 in this race. Athletes that I'm keeping my eyes on, especially after watching the Grand Slam Track League, are the athletes like Alexander Ogando. I'm keeping my eye on them. Jareem Richardson. They've both incidentally have the same time, 19.86 seconds so far this season. I think they're in great shape. I think they'll be turning up. If Letsilito Boho is not in great shape, I'm looking out for Alexander Ogando and also Jareem Richardson to possibly, steal the win in this race. But track is, I'm also very, very, very interested in Bryan Levell. I think this is a race where he'll be able to get sub 20. And I definitely also think Eugene has one of the best bends when we talk about the 200 meters. That's why the 200 meters are always, great there when you talk about a time perspective. So Bryan Levell, I'm looking out to see his performance. I am still slightly concerned about what happened in Kingston, but he said he's fine. He said, he didn't suffer any injuries. So let us see, what the outcome will be for in this race. I think Again, given the lineup, he can challenge. You can call me crazy. That's okay. I think he can challenge Jerry Murchison and Alexander Ogando. And as I said, I'm not sure where to place Let's Sealy because I'm not sure the type of shape he's in. If he is, the typical Let's Sealy, then he wins. Hands down, no issues there. But I'm looking out for, as I said, Alexander Ogando and Jerry Murchison. And I think Bryan Levell will be there with them. That 19.79 was a precursor to what is to come with him. And I'm glad he got himself in this race with the opportunity to test himself against some of the best in the world, right? Before, heading off to the world championships. And I know it's sometime to the world championships, but I'm just saying, really, really strong competition really helps these athletes, right? So, Bryan Lavelle, I'm looking for sub 20. I'm looking for a top three as well from him. Let's see how it goes in this men's 200 meters. I'm excited overall for Eugene. As I said, I think the lineups, are very, very good, very, very strong. And I think it will give the Jamaican athletes a lot of perspective as it relates to what to go back in the lab, as the Americans would say, and tighten up on, right? And I think a lot of the athletes, need to tighten up on a few areas. So in my opinion, it's good that they have these races, to rewatch and, see the areas that they need to work on, after the fact. Anyway, trackies, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Eugene is gonna be fire. How do you think, these additional races will go? Like the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.